Jazzcast Pros.
Hey there, graceful grinders. It's your host, Dr. Pamala Brown-Grinion. And today I have one of my dear friends joining me on the show. And I'd like you to welcome Kim Love Jones to the show. She is a 15-year certified relationship coach, and she helps clients near and far. And I just love talking to Kim about my past and current relationships. It doesn't matter if it's with a girlfriend or a guy friend. Kim is an expert and always has the right information to give. She is the voice of reason and just very knowledgeable in this topic. So today, Graceful Grinders, we are going to be talking about relationship etiquette. Welcome to Grace and Grind, the podcast redefining what it means to act like a lady, but think like a boss. All while helping female professionals navigate the intricacies of the workplace with poise, confidence, and grace. So, Kim, welcome to the show.
Oh my God, Pam, thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate this. This is amazing. Thank you for inviting me to your platform.
I'm so glad that you were able to be here today. All right. So we are going to jump right in because this is a great topic and a great extension from the conversation that we were having today. And so here's my first question for you, Kim. What are some common misconceptions that people have about relationships that may actually be hindering them and their ability to find happiness and fulfillment?
That's a good one, sis. That is a good one. It's a misconception to believe that somebody can make you happy, right? It's a misconception for women to think that men can make them happy, or for men to think that a woman can make them happy. That is one of the biggest misconceptions that I have seen. A lot of people believe that when they meet somebody, like their life is going to change and they're going to be, oh my God, I'm finally going to be able to take the trip, buy the house, get the car, go back to school. Whatever it is that they want is tied to somebody else being in their lives, right? Well, that's a fallacy. That is not the absolute truth. And while people can enhance who you are, right? They can enhance your life. They don't make you happy, right? And the very thought of that, and this is probably, I don't even know. I don't even want to just say for the younger generation, because I think people, if you're miserable, then you're going to take that with you wherever you go, right?
Exactly.
And it'll always be somebody else who didn't make you happy. No, you have to make yourself happy.
Absolutely. I was just sharing that very same concept with some young people. If you're not happy with yourself, you can't expect for someone else to fulfill that within you. And you won't be able to make anyone else happy if you aren't first happy with yourself.
Right.
And you'll always have that longing for something that's missing. And it's a void that only you can fill.
Right. It's just like love. It's just like
Absolutely.
love. Like, you want someone else to love you, but you have to start with loving yourself. And it's a lot of miserable people out here. I mean, there are people that just need a hug. Can we be honest? They need a hug sometimes, but they are so miserable that, and I don't want to talk about that as being that's a problem, but once you realize that you're not even capable of love until you begin to learn how to love yourself, until you set the tone for your own life. It just seems like everything is going to go crazy. Nothing's going to line up, because it begins and it ends with you first, right? And when you really love yourself and you are pouring into yourself in the ways in which you want to pour into somebody else, it's only then that your direction begins to shift and you realize that the self-love is making you feel like, wow, in order for someone to be in my life, they're going to have to meet me at this level, at this level, at this level. And you're not asking too much, right? You're not. But I know that in order for me to have what it is that I want, there is a standard that I have for my life. And so if I have a standard for what I'm going to do in for myself, then anybody coming up is not going to be able to necessarily meet that, right, for me. So when I think about that and I think about happiness, love, peace, joy. You know where joy comes from. It comes from the Lord, right? You're not getting that from anybody else, but you have to seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the one
Amen.
thing. Once you begin to operate on that level, you'll find out that you will attract people who are conscious. You will attract people that are aware. You will attract happy people because you
Mm-hmm.
yourself have become happy. People who are consciously aware of mental health, right? Because now that you've become conscious, you're not going to attract to yourself basic people. They're not even going to be in your radar. This is why I think it is so vitally important that men and women take the time to do the work within themselves. Love yourself fiercely and do the mental work that needs to be done. And then from there, you're going to be prosperous because that's how it works.
Mhm. I'm so glad you said that word attract because I've met many people and I myself have been in a previous situation, a span in my life where I was attracting the same kind of guy. And it wasn't until I understood or became self-aware, to use that word, which I think that is exactly what it is. Once I became self-aware that I am attracting who I am, the energy that I'm putting out, I am a magnet for unhealthy men because I myself was emotionally unhappy.
Yes.
And as soon as I figured that out, relationships started to be different.
Yes, in every area, not just in the area of romance, right?
Every area.
Because your energy, like if you walk into a room, another misconception is the fact that people don't know that their energy precedes them. You ever go into a room, you could be going to a girlfriend's house or you could be going to a party, and you walk in the room and it feels like darkness fell. It feels like, was they talking about me? Like it's like the room would hush, right? And you don't know that when you walked in, you brought in with you a certain level of energy. Now, it could be that the room is fine, but it's how you're perceiving the room to be.
Because it's you, it's not them.
And so when you walk in with a certain, I want to say, vibe, you can either command the entire room, or you could say, I don't know if I feel like I want to be here. But that's all rooted in how you feel. I remember, Pam, quick little story. I was missing my mom something fierce, right? My mom passed. You know that. You know the story. I was not in a good headspace. And I was talking to my best friend on the phone, and I went to Western Beef to go get something to the grocery store, right? So I go to the grocery store and I'm walking around to get what it is that I needed. Mind you, I had been crying basically off and on all day. I was having one of those days. I miss my mom. So I go into the grocery store, and this guy, as I'm walking down, he's like, "Hi." And he gave me a look like he could eat me up. And I was like, "Hello." Like I did one of those. But meanwhile, I'm on the phone and I'm talking to my girlfriend about how I'm feeling. And I wasn't loud. Nobody could really hear my conversation. But it really struck me as strange. So as I'm walking through the store getting whatever it is I'm getting, a couple of items, there's another guy in the grocery store. It's like, "Hi, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. How are you?" And I continue to walk and talk to my best friend. Well, I'm on the line checking out, and the first guy, begins to have a conversation with me. I'm talking to my best friend, but I stop and then as I'm in front of him. He comes up behind me. He starts talking to me. I talk to him. In front of me, the guy went on the second guy was on a different line and he got out before I did, right? So as he's walking past me, he was like, girl, you know, like I'll drink your bathwater kind of thing, like something crazy. It wasn't crazy like that, but that was the vibe that he was giving me. And I was befuddled, to say the least, right? Because I'm like, I'm not in a good mood right now. I don't feel good. I've been crying. My eyes are puffy, clearly. Face is not beat. Like I'm just coming to the grocery store. And it hit me like a ton of bricks by the time I got to my car. They were attracted to the sadness in me.
Mm.
People can feel your energy, good or bad.
That's good, Kim.
Right? And it hit me and I said, oh my God. Like they saw, like it's almost like she's in a weakened state right now. That's the kind of woman I want. And they may have taken that to say, oh, she looks like she's vulnerable. Maybe I can, I have no idea what was in their hearts or heads other than, hey, boo, hey, that kind of thing. But let's be clear that when you begin to know yourself and you recognize what's going on around you, it's easier for you to begin to put the pieces together for yourself. You become not self-conscious. You are self-aware. You understand when you're operating at a low vibration, a low frequency versus a high one, right? If I was self-confident in those moments, neither one of them probably would have spoken to me. But I was in a weakened state. I had been crying all day, and they want the weaker vessel, you see. Being consciously aware of where you are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually is important so that you make sure that you attract who you need.
Absolutely. And I think that ties in very well with emotional intelligence. Wouldn't you say that having the emotional intelligence about yourself first, and that is that self awareness, then other people, the emotional intelligence, it becomes an extension.
Yes.
Because when you're self aware about yourself, and I like the word self aware, but I also understand that not everyone that says, I'm self aware, really understands what self awareness is.
Right.
Because self awareness comes from the inside,
Yes.
right? And you're guided internally. You understand internally. You can pinpoint what you're feeling, when you're feeling. You can dissect what you need to dissect. You can compartmentalize what you need to compartmentalize.
Yes.
And it's not just two words that you put together to say, I'm self-aware, right? There is an emotional intelligence that ties into the self-awareness. And when you have it for yourself first, it's easier to identify and detect it in those that are and those that are not, and also those that think they are but really are not, right?
Right, that
part, right? Because I love it when someone says to me, I teach a class on self-awareness, and I love it when I ask people, well, what is self-awareness? I'm aware of myself. Well, yes, but what is being aware of yourself? And they can't even put it into words, but they're self-aware. And I think that's really key when you're in a relationship to identify, because then if you're going from one relationship into another relationship with baggage, if you're really healed or if you're not, you really understand that. And it'll help you have better relationships if you are actually self-aware. You'll understand if you need further healing, if you're over it, if you're being revisited by this pain over and over. You know how to shift yourself from the sadness of the baggage and the weight of the baggage. To me, that's self-awareness.
Yes.
But when your emotions control you,
yes,
that's not self-awareness.
Right. Here's the thing. Being aware of how you feel is self-awareness, being aware of your triggers. And I tell people this all the time because what's happening is out here in this social economy that we're in. Everybody wants to be in these wonderful relationships and they don't know that they're really not ready for it because you have a whole bunch of triggers, right? Like let's just oh, if they go out, oh, you got to check the phone. Oh, I got to do this. Where they going? Insecurity, all of these things that under normal circumstances would seem normal in this world. It is not, right? The only way to really know where you are, because people are tapped out. They're like, I'm good, honey. I don't need nothing. I don't need nobody. I'm good. Men are even saying the same thing. They may not say, I don't need a woman, because they'll never say those words, but they act as though they don't, right? Well, the only way to really, truly test your mettle to see where you really are is to be in relationship. That's the only way for you to be refined. Because in theory, we all have it on lock. We're all self-aware. We all know what we're doing. We all know what we want. We're self-confident. We've got it together. Like, what? Okay. All of this business. You want to see where you really at? Be in relationship with someone. I promise you, you'll begin to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of all that you are and all of the residue of your past relationships. And you cannot usurp the process. You've got to go through it. You're going to have some triggers. You're going to have some things that go on to let you know, wait, I need to be healed. And prayerfully, at this particular juncture, at this age and stage that we are, right? You don't throw everything out. You say, wait a minute, I need to work on this, baby. And will you help me? Because this is a bad place. I'm not in a good place. This brought some things up for me. I need to go talk to my therapist or whatever it is, right? And I want to work through this part because this is hard for me because I have abandonment issues, or this is hard for me because my husband, my ex-husband, he left me and the kids and for a younger woman. So I have a real fear, right? So when you think about that, we are all put together and everything is beautiful and it's, and we've put a cherry on top until you're faced with that and until it comes up for you again. And you really have to dig in and do the work. If you never had a problem, you would never do the work. And that's why I'm here. I'm a certified relationship coach. That's why I do what I do. I don't want people to stay in coaching forever. I want you to see what the problem is and where it lies in you. And then I want you to, instead of running away from it, I want you to lean into it and figure out what it is that you need to do in order to get over this hump in your life. Because we want you to be happy and successful in every area of your life. Not just being a CEO and a boss and all this stuff. No, we want you in right relationship with the person who loves you enough and cares enough about you that when you lean in and you share, they lean in with you and they say, baby, we're going to get through that.
Do you find that in some of the people that you coach, if you're working with couples per se, that really signifies the relationship of the couple where both of them are mature enough and aware enough? Can one spouse say, hey, I'm having difficulty here and I need you to lean in with me? And if the spouse does, if they do say that, does it come across as weakness? Can the other spouse say, I can, work with you. I can be there for you. I can help you through it. Or is that a scary place for the other person, understanding that there are some skeletons in the closet that were there, that are arising now and that were there before they came on the scene? Because I've experienced that was a bit scary.
It is. It's very scary because it requires a level of vulnerability where you're throwing caution to the wind. Like, can I trust you with this? My heart is broken because of X, Y, and Z in my past, without you then saying that don't have nothing to do with me. That's your past. I'm not that person. I'm not that guy, or I'm not that woman who hurt you. But creating a safe space in your relationship for your relationship to be successful is extremely important. And this is what I say to couples. And I'll tell you honestly, usually by the time people come to me, they're not trying to work through it. They're not. They say that they're trying to work through it, but they are so angry and incensed that you can't, like, you would have to knock the entire house down and put it on a new foundation. And I'm all about moving people forward. You have to be willing to let go of the things that hurt you in the immediate in order to look at the bigger picture as it pertains to what you truly want in a relationship. So generally, if I'm coaching a couple, I'll say, what is the end game for you? What is it that you want? What do you want your relationship to look like, right? And when when you have clarity around that, and usually when you're angry, you do not have that level of clarity.
Absolutely.
So, right. So it makes it a little bit more difficult because they're usually very angry by the time they're willing to do the work. Now I got to get them calm. Now I got to get them seeing the bigger picture. What made you fall in love with her? What made you fall in love with him? Is it really love? Or was it just convenient? So, we have to ask the question because sometimes people are in relationships and they don't even know who they are.
Or why they're in the relationship.
Yes. Like, oh, well, they were just so wonderful. They treated me nice. Okay, what else was it about them? Women and men fall in love with the hand and not the person. What they can do for me instead of what can I do to help you. And then anytime you're coming into a relationship with your hand out, looking for what you can get, you are already in violation of relationships, of the relationship. So that's vitally important. It's important to go back and, like, how did we get here? Like, what were you feeling when you cheated, whether it's him or her? Did you feel like your voice wasn't being heard? Did you feel validated? Did you feel valuable? What was going on in your head and in your heart that made you want to step out and create something with someone new? We're not just talking about sex, because for men, sex is sex, right? But if he were to then begin to incorporate a woman in a deeper way, right? It's not just sex, for him.
Emotional ties.
Yes. What is it? What are you missing from home? And it's the same for the woman. If you're not being open and honest with your partner, you are literally tearing that relationship apart. If you can't speak your truth, there is really no relationship.
But how many times, Kim, do we keep silent just for, as we say, the sake of peace? We really want to say it, but we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, not knowing if we're going to, because we're processing it from, well, if they said it to me, then it will probably, it may not be something that I want to hear. I know as a female, I have more female friends than I have male friends. I've had this conversation time after time after time. And it's like, why didn't you say something? Well, just for the sake of peace. Well, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Well, girl, I just let it go. And to me, when you do that, when you don't speak your truth and you really don't say what you need in that moment or what your non-negotiables are or what you don't like, to me, you're saying it's okay and you're given permission, and then they don't know because you haven't expressed it. Your partner doesn't know. And then you wait until you're explosive.
Right.
And then it's like, well, why didn't you just say something?
Right. And then we blame the other person.
How many times, Kim, have you been in that situation? How many times?
Many times. And I try to tell people that your silence is violence to the relationship.
Say that again, please.
Your silence is violence to the relationship.
That is so good.
When you start off in the beginning and you do not speak your truth, you could be first date and you're just trying to be nice and all of this, and that's wonderful. Be nice, right? Because whatever you do, the truth is you want to do it in love. And whatever you say, you don't want to have a posture of anger with it. You want to be in a loving, kind space. Like, let's be honest. So If you're in a loving and kind space and you say, I really don't like it, it may be something from my childhood, I don't know. I really don't like it when my voice is not heard. And I really struggled with that for a long time within myself. And I realized that that was an issue for me. Now you're telling the truth. So now you're out on a date, you're sharing your heart with your potential whatever, right? Because you don't know yet. And you're being open and honest. They can't say that they didn't know. But when you don't say and you pretend that everything is okay, and to the
Yes.
point that you begin to dishonor who you are, right? And what you need for your life. When you think about that, who are you helping? You're literally setting your relationship up for failure because your partner cannot deal with what they do not know how to deal with.
Right.
That's number one.
Right.
And number two, your lack of honesty and authenticity with your partner is only setting the relationship up to fail. Because the moment you get ready to begin to speak your truth, they're gonna be like, wait, where did this come from?
Right.
And you're 3 years in. And they're like, but I never knew that even like why didn't you say? And then it's like, well,
Right.
did I ever know you at all? Were you hiding this from me?
Right. What else? What
Right.
else haven't you told me?
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Because you want to build a relationship that includes a safe space, even if you do it slowly, methodically, with trepidation. It doesn't matter. The idea is that you strengthen your relationship by telling the truth so that 5 years down the line, someone is not walking away from you because they feel like you've been disingenuous this entire time. They said to you, I'm a swinger. You knew you wasn't a swinger. So you
Right.
go because you want the man, and now he
Right.
wants to go swinging. You're like,
Right. You're not even into this.
right. Because you just want somebody, and he just seems like he's such a good cat. But he told you who he was. He told you what he wanted and what he was into. And you went along to try to get along, and everything about what that man said to you or woman went against who you are and what you stand for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I use
Yeah.
that's an extreme example, but
But no, it's good.
I needed to give an extreme example so that people would fully, understand like that's the reason why you got to tell the truth.
I like to say you have to teach people how to be in a relationship with you, and you have to teach people how to treat you because they don't know you.
Yes.
They don't know you.
Yes.
And the only thing they know about you is what you tell them.
Yes.
So, to your point, if you go into it not in your head, yes, for everything, then you give the illusion that you're into this or this is okay. And it's not until you say, you know what, I'm not cool with that. Like I don't like people to like my non-negotiables. Don't disregard me. Don't disregard me. And if I say something to you multiple times, then that's important to me, right? Don't ignore that, because if you ignore that, then the message that you're giving to me, even if you don't say this, the message that you're giving to me is, I really don't give a damn about what you've said. I don't care about how it makes you feel. And then that puts me on the offense or the defense where I have to think, how do I safeguard myself because this person is not taking into consideration what I'm saying, and I'm really saying that this is a deal breaker for me.
Yes.
And if you
Because you
keep,
need to feel safe.
I need to feel safe, and then if you keep violating me, then the question that I ask myself is, and this is my go-to question, if I feel like I'm in a place in a relationship and it's not good, it's not healthy, I ask myself this: Pam, why don't you feel you deserve the love you desire? That's my
Yes.
go-to question.
Yes.
And I've asked a lot of girlfriends that. Why don't you feel that you deserve the love you desire?
Yes, yes. Because, and I think we talked about this earlier today, we talked about cognitive dissonance.
Oh, yes.
It's like we know what we should do. We know how we should behave, meaning we need to go to the gym. You need to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. If that's the only time you have, the gym opens at 5, be there at 6, be done by 7, and be on about your way. Come home, shower, get dressed, and go to your job, right? When you know what you need to be doing, but you will not do what you need to do for you, that's how we get stuck all the time, because as women, we're almost built because there's nurture and there's nature, right? We
Mm-hmm,
are
mm-hmm.
naturally nurturer, right? We
Yes,
naturally put everyone before us, right? Our children, our men, everybody. You cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So if I am going to give my best to you, I have got to be cognizant of I have to give the best to me in order for me to give the best to you.
correct.
It can't be any other way.
But how many times do we do that? And we're depleted. Our batteries are at a minus, and we're still trying to give 110% when we are at minus 50.
Right. And you know what happens? It then becomes, because when nobody's pouring back into you, that's that safety. A relationship should look like, today I got 70% and you got 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour 20 into you because that's all I got. Right? We're still trying to give each other 100% of ourselves, but today I realize you don't have it. So today I'm going to pour into you. I want your cup to overflow, so I may not ask you to do something hard today, right? Like go in the kitchen and cook dinner after you've worked a 9 to 5 all day, right? I may say, babe, let's order some takeout and let's just sit in front of the movie, in front of the TV and watch a movie, right? And let's just put our feet up. I'll rub your feet, you'll rub mine. We'll sit there, whatever it takes, right? Because I know that you're not there. You want a relationship that understands, and you were talking about emotional intelligence. It's so much more. I mean, emotional intelligence is vitally important because you realize when you are emotionally intelligent, everything is not about you. So sometimes it is, babe, I'm exhausted. I don't have anything to give but today. Or it could be that you see that your partner is exhausted, and although you got 25% left and you don't have enough to go into the kitchen, that you're saying, baby, listen, get dressed. Let's go and take a shower. Let's get all dressed up. Neither one. We need to encourage and support and do what, however that shows up. Baby, I just want to go out and celebrate us tonight. I don't feel like doing anything. Like, there needs to be like a plan B, right? So understanding that it takes more than just me pouring into someone. It's self-love, it's self-care, right? First, it's God, it's you, it's your husband, it's the children. It's the children's, right? Seriously, we have to be mindful that we can't give what we don't have for ourselves. Love, care,
Mm-hmm,
authenticity, intimacy. If we don't have that for
mm-hmm,
ourselves, how can we give it to anyone else?
mm-hmm.
Right?
You're right. You are so right. And I'm single now. People ask me all the time, "Are you dating? Do you want to see?" I'm like, "No, I am not cupcaking with anybody right now because I don't have the capacity." Number 1, number 2, I'm in a place where I need all of me for me. Number 3, I'm not prepared to be in a relationship because I have some stuff that I'm working on. And I know that I'm working on some stuff in me first. And you know what? This is where maturity, I'm 58. I just turned 58 in June. And this is where the maturity has settled in, right? When you're younger, it's like, I want my man to do this. My man better have this. He better come with that or don't even step to me. He better come correct. But now it's like, are you coming correctly? Are you stepping up to the plate? Are you able to give what you're expecting? And if it's not 50-50, even Steven, equal all the time, because it's not going to be,
Right.
in the times when you're carrying the 50, and then there may be a time where he's carrying the 50, and I'm talking about financially. what happens if something happens to him or something happens to you and your total capacity is only 50%?
Because it always should be 100.
If
Yeah.
he's down, you know what I'm saying? So to me, I have to be prepared to carry 110%,
Yes.
and he has to be prepared to cover 110%.
Yes.
And that way, if something happens to him or something happens to me, then we're set.
Right.
We're
Right.
okay. But if we're both our capacity, like we're maxed out at 50%, and
Yes.
something happens to either one of us,
Yeah.
then we can't live the lifestyle that we've become accustomed to. We have to make some changes
Yes.
because your capacity is 50%
Right.
and my capacity. Maturity says that you're not, just because you think you're ready doesn't mean you're prepared. That's what.
Right.
And I'm going to leave that
Yes.
right there, Miss Kim,
Yes. I love
because
that.
I think that this conversation is so good.
Yes.
I think we're going to do a part 2 because there's so much more that I want to talk about.
Yes.
So are you down for a part 2?
Let's get it, baby.
All right, we're going to do a part 2. All right, there are my graceful grinders. You have heard it here first from Miss Kim Love Jones, certified relationship coach. And we're going to come back in 2 weeks and we're going to do part 2 of relationship etiquette. I hope that you've gotten a lot out of this. I have. Kim, have you?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, wonderful. So we are going to come back in 2 weeks and we're going to pick up where we left off. So tune in, like, share, tell your friends, and come back in 2 weeks. All right? I thank you so much for joining the Grace and Grind podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Pamala Brown-Grinion. And until next time, and always remember to create your totally unique day on purpose.